We continue our discussion of our position towards Aisha, the wife of the Prophet ﷺ. Previously, we examined Surah Al-Tahrim and how the Quran evaluates her, and how the Quran describes her heart, along with Hafsa, deviating from the truth, from the right path. And we basically examined what it means for the wives of the Prophet to be the mothers of the believers. And is that a position Allah has given them to mean that they are good, righteous women, to be followed, and they are sources of authority? Or no, this simply means that no one can marry them. Or this is just an honorary title to honor the Prophet ﷺ. We examined that. As we continue our evaluation of Aisha, I'd like to share with you a hadith that has been mentioned in Sunni sources, but there's a lot of discussion on the meaning of this hadith. And for us, this hadith is evidence that Aisha is not to be followed. Muslim, Sahih Muslim narrates this hadith, and also Bukhari narrate this hadith. So these two top sources have narrated this hadith. So this is the wording of Muslim. خرج رسول الله من بيت عائشة. The Prophet just left the house of Aisha. Then as the Prophet left the house of Aisha, he said, رأس الكفر من ها هنا. The base of all disbelief is from here. من حيث يطلع قرن الشيطان. This is where the horn of shaitan shall emerge from. This is where in Muslim. Let's look at Bukhari's version. This hadith is from Abdullah ibn Umar ibn al-Khattab. So the son or grandson of Umar ibn al-Khattab. The son of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He says, قام النبي صلى الله عليه وآله وآله, of course from me. Bukhari doesn't say وآله, he says وسلم. خطيبا. The Prophet stood as a speaker. He was speaking in the masjid. فأشار نحو مسكن عائشة. He pointed towards the house of Aisha. And he said 3 times, ها هنا الفتنة, ها هنا الفتنة, ها هنا الفتنة. Here's the fitna, here's the fitna, here's the fitna. من حيث يطلع قرن الشيطان. That's where the horn of shaitan shall come from. Okay. So we have these hadiths that clearly tell us the Prophet pointed towards the house of Aisha, and he says fitna is going to come from here, shaitan's going to come from here. Now you are wondering, okay, if Ahl Sunnah are aware of these hadiths in Bukhari and Muslim, then why do they still follow Aisha? This is how they interpret it. And this is why we reject this interpretation. I'll share that. They say we have hadiths in other sources that the Prophet once pointed towards the east, towards Najd, the middle part of Hijaz, the cradle of Wahhabism. The Prophet pointed there and he said fitna is going to come from there. Before he did that, the Prophet ﷺ said, Oh Allah, give barakah to our Sham and to our Yemen. Allahumma barik fi Shamina wa Yemenina. Yemen's good, barakah. Sham is good, barakah. But that place, Najd, fitna, shaitan, shaitan. This Ahl Sunnah do have these hadiths. Okay. Their claim is that these 2 hadiths in Bukhari and Muslim, in which the Prophet pointed at the house of Aisha, he wasn't really pointing at Aisha's house, he was pointing east. And he was pointing towards Najd, and he's just saying that it's a fitna place, where shaitan's going to mobilize people. So it has nothing to do with Aisha herself. That's their rebuttal or justification. What do you say about that? I've shared with you the actual text of Bukhari and Muslim.
Do we have the context, or do we as Shia agree on the context of the speech? Which is
honestly, it's not that clear. Even the hadith, oh Allah, give barakah to our Sham or Yemen, We don't even know if the Prophet really said that. Is this something the Umayyads later made up to give barakah to Damascus and Sham? God knows. True, Najd is a troublesome place. We saw in this era the Wahhabis started from there. So maybe the Prophet said something about Najd. But here's my critical analysis. See, if the Prophet had pointed towards Aisha's house and he would have said, the fitna will come from there. See, what's the difference between this or here and there and that? What's the difference between this and that? This is for the near. That is for what? The far. We have that the same thing as in Arabic, right? Huna wa hunak. Hada wa dak. Okay. What's the difference between here and there? What's the difference between here and there in English?
Near.
Here means near, here. There means far. See, if the Prophet, according to Bukhari and Muslim, if the Prophet had said from there, the fitna will come, maybe they had a point. Okay, he's not referring to Aisha's house, he's referring to that Najd place. But look at the wording of Bukhari. Muslim says, ha huna. What does huna mean? Here. Bukhari says, ha huna al-fitna, ha huna al-fitna. See, when you're in the Arabic language, when you're referring to some place distant, that's like 1,000 miles away, 500 miles away, you don't say here, you say there. Imagine you're pointing at Mexico and you're trying to say trouble's coming, there. Would you say here is the trouble? You don't say here, you say there. So when the Prophet, according to the testimony of Bukhari and Muslim, gets up on the pulpit, he just came from Aisha's house, he points to Aisha's house and he says, here's the fitna. It's too far-fetched to say he's referring to Najd. You can't get any clearer than that. Here means here, not 500 miles away. So I feel, their rebuttal is really not objective, it's not academic. If the Prophet said there, they had a point. Okay, maybe they could get away with that justification. But when he said here, it's too difficult to apply it to a faraway place. Yes?
But Sayyid, when they put the hadith in the Sahih Bukhari or Muslim, did they not know the Arabic language to see that difference?
See, the narrator narrated the hadith. Later on, maybe by analyzing it, they got stuck with the analysis, or they didn't know how to analyze it. Sometimes hadiths are written later on, it creates problems because some people come, they object, they read the hadith like, what's going on? So these fine things, maybe they miss them. Now I'm presenting you this argument. Try to be as objective and unbiased as you can. Don't you feel if the Prophet comes out and he points towards a room and he says the fitna's from here, is he really referring to like a far away distant place? Or it's clearer that he's referring to this place here?
I feel like, Sayyid, why does the Prophet always have to speak in code? There's always kind of vague or blurry, it's either...
First of all, maybe the Prophet spoke clearly. The companions who narrated it had to make it a little bit more politically correct. Or sometimes, remember, Allah tests us. The Prophet gives hints for the ones who wants the hint. But maybe he didn't go too explicit because it's a trial. Remember, the Prophet could have just excommunicated all the hypocrites. It's a trial. So the Prophet says the truth in a way that the one who really wants the truth will understand it. But sometimes maybe he doesn't go too explicit because he wants to maintain that balance of a trial and a test. So I've shared with you these two hadiths about Aisha. So if someone asks you as a follower of Ahlul Bayt, why don't you respect Aisha? Meaning, why don't you follow her? Okay, I have proof from your Bukhari and Muslim that fitna's from her house, shaitan's from her house. Why should I follow someone whom my Prophet said, pointing at her house, that fitna's from here? Now you have a different explanation. This means, 500 miles away. Ahlan sahlan. You're entitled to your opinion. But don't blame me for having a stance towards her. I have a different interpretation. I believe the Prophet was pointing at her house. And he said, huna. Here means here, doesn't mean there. It's clear to me. It's not clear to you? Fine. But it's clear to me. So don't attack me. if I'm not following Aisha? Why should I follow Aisha when there is a likelihood that the Prophet says the fitna is going to come from her house? I'm not going to follow somebody who's the source of fitna. Subhanallah. Days after that, she became the source of fitna. She left that house, she went and mobilized a massive army against Imam Ali, she split the Muslim Ummah.
So when did that happen? That specific narration?
You mean when did the Prophet say the fitna from here? Well, it's not mentioned in the hadith when that was, but this was in Medina, basically towards the latter part of the Prophet's life, after his wives had rooms and Aisha had her room. So we don't have an exact date, but it's sometime before the Prophet passed away, sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Do we have anything similar to this in our hadith?
We do, but we're just bringing from their sources, that you have in your books. We have more in our sources.
Do we have the same one? Which is
A similar wording, yeah, we have similar wording. So this is in Bukhari and Muslim. I mean, Bukhari's version is just, I don't know how anyone can dispute that. I'll read it to you again. This is the book of Bukhari. In the chapter on al-jihad wa sayr, jihad and traveling. An Abdullah ibn Umar. And who's narrating this? Not some Shia companion or a companion who leans towards the Imams. No. This is from Abdullah ibn Umar, the son of Umar ibn al-Khattab. He said, قام النبي صلى الله عليه وآله خطيبا. He stood as a speaker. فأشار نحو مسكن عائشة. He pointed towards the room, the house. Maskan means place where you live, of Aisha. And he said, ها هنا الفتنة, ها هنا الفتنة, ها هنا الفتنة. Here, not there. Here's the fitna, here's the fitna, here's the fitna. طيب, if you're referring to 500 miles away, you don't say here, here, here. You say there at least.
Chapter 4, what is the name of it?
What's that?
In Bukhari, right?
Yes, this is in Bukhari, Kitab al-Jihad wa Sayr, the chapter on Jihad and Sayr. And basically, this is under the sub-chapter of Azwaj al-Rasul, about the wives of the Prophet. Now, Bukhari has many versions. The version that I have is volume 4, page 100, but you'll get other versions. So I just gave you the chapter.
So you said, does this say in the hadith where
Some hadith numbering, sometimes they number the hadiths of Bukhari. If you go by that numbering, according to some editions, it's hadith 3104.
3,000.
104. Yes,
does
bro.
this say where the Prophet was? He wasn't, they said giving a speech.
Yeah, in the masjid. So it's a given that he's in his masjid. And remember, Aisha's house is just across, because the rooms of the Prophet were on the border of the mosque. So he says he came out and he pointed towards the house of Aisha and he said, here, here, here is the fitna. Another rebuttal that Ahl Sunnah have come up with is, well, the narrator got it wrong. The Prophet was referring to some other place. He thought it was towards the house of Aisha. So we don't have evidence the Prophet really meant the house of Aisha. Maybe he meant something else. The guy, from his angle or viewpoint, he thought he was referring to Aisha. That's another response they've given.
But how come every single time it's a narration against themselves, they call it faulty narrations, but the entire book is called Sahih?
No, they don't dispute the narration. They dispute the content, the meaning, or the conclusion that you draw. They're like, it's Sahih, yani the Prophet said that. But who told you he meant the house of Aisha? See, the Prophet, he pointed. The narrator thought it's the house of Aisha. Maybe he pointed to something else. So they're not disputing and saying that Sahih, the hadith is false. They're like, the Prophet said that. But it's the narrator's impression that he meant the house of Aisha. Maybe the Prophet meant something else. Maybe. We don't know. It's just another, way that they've tried to justify the hadith. So they don't reject the hadith, they just give it a different interpretation. So now I've shared with you these two hadiths. Like, what is your honest, unbiased opinion? Like, step outside the sectarian discussions now, and you have this hadith, and the Ahl Sunnah, their rebuttal. Allahumma barik fi Shamina, Yemenina, Najd is the, there will be problems from Najd. And what do you make of these two hadiths?
I feel it's hard to judge without knowing the context of it.
We don't have context. This is what we have.
Or like the other
It's not very clear. The son of Umar ibn al-Khattab, all he says is, he came, He pointed at the house of Aisha, says, fitna, fitna, fitna.
But other people who narrated, did they also mention he pointed towards the house of Aisha, or did they mention?
See, Muslim says, kharaja min bayti Aisha. He just left the house of Aisha, and he says, the base of kufr is from here. So we've got two versions in which somehow the house of Aisha is involved. So we don't have an exact context, but we've got these clues. So what do you make of it? So our position, we don't have anything personal against Aisha, but, we're not going to follow someone whom the Prophet warned about the fitnas that would come her way. Yes.
I mean, he not only warned, he warned, and in the hadith it says that it's a warning, and later on it happened.
It happened, exactly. See, it fits very well with the historical records. We'll examine that in our next class, inshallah. Quran says, sit in your homes, you wives of the Prophet. Sit. Don't get involved in these matters. She violated that. She mobilized an army against the rightful Khalifa. You guys believe he's the Khalifa Rashid. He's one of the four. She mobilized an army to kill Ali ibn Abi Talib. And the Prophet previously had said, fitna, fitna, fitna from here. See, it matches. There's nothing that would disqualify this hadith other than their deep belief that she's the best woman after the Prophet. Yeah, this is not compatible with your belief system about her. But this should shed light on whether you should have such a belief or not. So in any case, the way that they've tried to interpret the hadith, he was referring to east, not, the house of Aisha. The house of Aisha happened to be on the eastern side, so the narrator thought the Prophet was referring to the Prophet, the house of Aisha. But my response to that is, the Prophet says here and not there, and it makes a difference how you word it.